Hello, how are you all? Welcome back. Welcome tonight. This is the masterclass. It's kind of two things melded together. It's a recap of everything we did through the 5-day reset. Just talking about the somatic healing, so we're talking about the mindfulness, but it's also a little bit of a deep dive into the nervous system, not too much, but I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview for those of you that are maybe, a little bit nerdy when it comes to wanting to know things. So it's really just an overview, a recap, just help you bring everything together. Thank you for all the questions I've been getting. I've been getting lots of emails. So yes, the 5-day reset, you can go through all the replays, you can work through them now, and it will be available to the end of November. So you've got plenty of time to do it. You can do it day by day, plenty of time. And I'm actually working with a couple of clients of mine now to create a 5-week nervous system reset, which will be like a program next year, but that's a long way off. Welcome back. Welcome. Lovely to be back. Lovely to see you all. And I'm going to get started. And as I say, we're going to go in. It's a little bit, there's a lot of detail and science, and I'm going to go through that. And it's really just a recap to bring everything together for you. And if you haven't started, then this will be a nice kind of platform to lift off for the 5-day reset if you're still going through all of the materials. I'm a bit tired today. I had a big day. I had a really big day. But thank you very much for joining. I'm going to share my screen and we will get into it. I hope you're all well. Please let me know some of the benefits, the results you've seen when it's come to doing the 5-day reset. How have you been? What have you found? What have you loved? What's worked for you? Let's get you there. You know why I always fiddle around? If you've been watching these, I always fiddle around trying to find the screen for me to share. Reason being, because I have about 100 million screens open. My partner, he always laughs at me. I have Brave open, I've got Chrome open, I've got Safari open, and within all of those, I don't know why I use them all. I've got like about 10 to 15 tabs at the top of each one. It's a little bit crazy. Talk about overwhelm. Okay. Alrighty, here we are. Rewire, reset, rebalance your nervous system. And we're going to talk a little bit about hormones. And of course, if you've got any questions, please ask them at the end. I can't see your comments at the moment. I can't see who's online, so I do apologize. Thank you for joining if you're here. It's always great to have you. So grateful for you, but I cannot see you. Okay. So today we're going to talk about how the nervous system works. We are going to talk about how to know if it's regulated or not. In the 5-day reset, we did talk about how to move from that sympathetic to sympathetic, right? So sympathetic to sympathetic, sorry. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to do the exercise though. My daughter's downstairs. I don't want to wake her up doing star jumps, but I tell you how to do it if you want. We're going to learn what it looks like when your nervous system's dysregulated, what to look out for, and then also when you're in parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. We are going to explore the 4 exercises today. So the 4 exercises to reset, ground, bring your nervous system down, quickly, effectively. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Naomi Judge. I'm a clinical nutritionist and naturopath, and I've been working for the past 15, 16 years supporting women in Sydney and via Zoom online. I have now working with women with cyclic moods, hormonal issues, balancing hormones, PMDD. So that's me. That's a couple of years ago. Okay, let's dive right on in. Sorry to rush through that. Just wanted to get into it. Okay, so we've got the main structure of the nervous system, right? The nervous system is all these little things that are communicating with everybody. We have the central nervous system, brain, that's the brain, it's controlling, moves down the spinal cord, okay, moves down the spinal cord. So think osteopath and think chiropractor. Think about things that are think about anxiety, think about brain fog, think about depression, and you might go to the chiropractor and they might manipulate your spine, or they might do something, and that actually relieves the problem. Or, you know, when babies are young and they've got issues sleeping, and it may be something to do with them being born, and they go to the chiro and the osteo and they do some back work, and it kind of resolves the problem. So this is why, you know, the spine is so important, the neck, anything out there, then it affects the nervous system, right? Then we've got the peripheral nervous system. Peripheries, hands, feet, everything going out to this structure. That transmits sensory information, okay? Sensory information from your hands, okay? Think of sensory seekers and sensory avoiders, right? You've got sensory seekers, sensory avoiders. With sensory avoiders, they're very, very sensitive. They're in fight, flight a lot. It might be trauma. They're very sensitive to sensory stimuli, noise, smells, sound, that kind of thing. So it's actually very helpful for them. They might not like touch as well. They might not like light touch. You see this a lot in kids. So it's actually very helpful for them to be pressing down on their palms. Clapping is very helpful. Clapping is very helpful to support the nervous system with children and adults that have sensory issues. Tapping their thighs, pressing the palms. If they're going to be in a situation where there's a lot of sensory input via touch, pressing their palms down, okay? So this is the peripheral nerves. It's that sensory information from the hands and feet. Some kids like wearing shoes. Some kids prefer being on bare feet. Others won't wear shoes, you know. You see, it's this sensory input. Some are very sensitive to my dad. He can't wear bare feet, and he's very, very sensitive to walking on hard things, and it's because he's a sensory avoider, very sensitive sensory avoider. Like, you've got sensory seekers. My daughter is a sensory seeker. She needs strong touch, you know, to balance her nervous system. It's fascinating, but I won't be going into all of that tonight because that's a whole different thing. Then we've got part of that peripheral nervous system. We've got the autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is autonomic things, you know, like things that are happening, whether it's the heart, the bathroom, all things that happen without you having to consciously make them happen. Tonight, we're going to talk about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Sympathetic, fright, fight, flight, prepares you for action. I'm going to talk about that in a while, how that happens. Parasympathetic, rest and digest, heal, recovery, relaxation, okay? These two nervous systems are very important in our daily lives, and even simple things like exercise. If you do HIIT training, if you do F45, if you do intense exercise every single day, you're putting yourself in sympathetic every single day, not allowing your body to go into parasympathetic and have that relaxation and recovery. You know, all elite athletes know that after their training and they've done their big thing, they need to relax. They need to heal. They need to get into parasympathetic. The same with us. You know, this is why the on-off days are really good. On, off, on, off. Enteric nervous system, important. Okay, this is the brain, gut, nervous system stress connection. Constipation, diarrhea, butterflies in the stomach, nausea. You know, some people get that visceral sensation in their stomach when they're nervous, when they're stressed. Someone, when they're stressed, might straight away have diarrhea. This is the nervous system. This is the nervous system not being regulated, and it is impacting the gut. Not everybody gets that gut connection, right, to the nervous system. And then we've got the somatic nervous system. The somatic nervous system, all of your voluntary, what you're doing, me talking, all of your voluntary movements. So this, in a nutshell, is the main structure. There is more, but this is really what I want to focus on tonight to tell you, and then we're really going to focus on the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Okay. Okay, so we talked about the peripheral. This is the messenger network, carries information from this in the central nervous system, brain, spinal cord, the rest of the body, in, out, you know, touch. This is why when we talk about safety and when we talk about the nervous system, for some people, touch can be a huge thing, right? the type of material you're touching or sitting on. Some people get freaked out with Velcro, velvet. You think about, some people prefer lovely soft tactile. Some people really tactile. They need that kind of touch, right? It's all about our unique biology, our unique nervous system, because we're all at different places on the spectrum, and some of us are more stressed and in that fight flight than others, and some of us have other things going on. So we need to tune in to what works for us, what suits us, what feels good, what brings us down, and always know it might be different to anybody else around you. On the enteric nervous system, we've talked about that. That's the gut brain, okay, regulating digestion. And then obviously the central nervous system, the big boss, the main, the spinal cord, okay, the brain spinal cord connection. If there's been any trauma at birth, which just sometimes can happen, and the baby up until 6 months of age, 0 to 6 months, if there's any particular trauma, what you might find in this child or adult growing up is they get extremely relaxed and their nervous system can only come down when their head is kind of being cupped or held, this bit behind here. Some people, I am one of them, just that touch on the back of my head, that will bring me into parasympathetic nervous system straight away. So if I'm getting a massage done, sometimes I can't relax into the massage. And I ask them just to sort of pull on my head a little bit, just there, cup it there, pull on it. And I just go, down into parasympathetic, right? It's fascinating. Love it. Experiment with that. This part of the head, other people, it's different. We'll talk about the different kind of things you can do to support your body in somatic healing. So the main functions, just quickly, because I don't want to bore you, but hopefully some of you are finding this interesting. You've got the sensory input, collecting information, right? What you touch, what you walk on. Think of the Princess and the Pea, or was it the Prince and the Pea? Remember? Did you know that story with all the mattresses, right? And they put a pea at the bottom, and then whoever can notice the pea is the prince or the princess. That's a very high sensory input there. Integration, right? So the nervous system integrates everything, all this data that's coming in. Helps to keep homeostasis, helps to maintain balance, right? Balance between parasympathetic, sympathetic, balance between high, low blood pressure, balance between where the glucose is in your body. Is it stored? Is it in your muscles? Balance between where the blood, what veins open up and let the blood in. When you're stressed, the veins will constrict. The blood and the oxygen will go to your muscles. So that means your cold hands and feet. That means you don't have the blood in your stomach and in your ovaries. So that's how it keeps homeostasis, all of these actions going on. Fight, flight, right, prepares you for action. Whatever that action is the action to go running, is it to fighting, what is it? Rest and digest, that promotes relaxation and healing, right? That's healing. You can only heal in parasympathetic. Enteric controls the digestion, from here all the way down the stomach into the intestines, and then also into the colon. Okay, so this whole from the tongue all the way down. And then somatic, we've talked about the movement. So that's just in kind of like an update for that, so you can see what that's called. Sympathetic nervous system runs down your spine. Sympathetic is a stress response. The fight or flight runs down your spine. Parasympathetic runs down here. Okay, so we have it starting up here, and then we have it running down more the throat here into the stomach. And we'll talk about that's why singing and humming can help, and we'll talk about that. So the nervous system is really just a detection board. It doesn't necessarily, when we talk about our senses, it's not being logical. It's just picking up everything around us. It's picking up what you can see. So I'm looking around. Am I safe? Am I seeing anything that's out of place? Am I seeing anything that's wrong? Taste. What am I tasting? Is this food okay to eat? Is it too bitter? That means it's poisonous. Is the meat too fragrant when I eat it, that means it might be off. Is something too sour? You know, it's a taste, so it will save me, so I know what to eat. If something's nice and sweet, that means it's probably edible. If it's really bitter, could be poisonous, right? This is how the taste works. It's giving us these safety signals. Sound is the sensory input. Things are too loud, things are banging, can't hear something. You know, that's that, the wind, the waves, it's all that sensory input. Smell, can I smell fire? Can I smell gas? Can I smell mold? Musky smells. What can I smell that's a sign for my nervous system to tell me I am safe, I'm okay? Touch, okay. Is something hot? Is something cold? Is it smooth? Am I safe? Is it damp? So these are all signals externally, just telling our internal hardware that we are safe and okay to carry on what we're doing. That's really what it's there for, okay? So we can control, to some degree, what communication, what input comes in, right? We can manipulate our environment to some extent. We can help ourselves to feel safe. Safety is the key. This is all our nervous system wants to know. All our nervous system wants to know is, are we safe? That's all, right? Are we safe? Are we in danger? Are we being chased? Is there no food? Is there a famine? Are we in danger, right? That's all our nervous system really is trying to do. It's trying to keep us from being harmed. It's trying to keep us from death, okay? When I was doing the 5-day reset, I talked a couple of times about safety in our nervous system. And one of the things that's quite fascinating is how people's nervous systems can tell them before an incident has happened that they're unsafe. So people get a feeling, right? I've heard this, people say this a few times. Some people get a feeling, they'll be coming up to traffic lights and they know it's green, but there's like a shudder, right? Their nervous system is giving them a sign. It knows. They slow down, they decide not to cross the traffic lights. And then what happens? 10-ton lorry zooms past, crosses a red. This is someone's story. Our nervous system knows, and it protects us. Another thing is, if there's some people on one side of the street, you're walking down and your nervous system goes, ooh, you get the goosebumps, you get the ooh, and you kind of decide to cross the road, okay? It's always looking out. Sometimes it seems more positive when you're in a relaxed state. When you're in a hyper-stress state all the time, high beta brain, which is that high stress state, not relaxation, it's looking out for danger. It's looking all the time. This is why we can have more negativity bias, right? We can see more negative things in society, people, whatever it is, even in us, because our nervous system is primed to see it. It's primed for our safety. This is why we need to continue to give it these safety triggers to help to bring us into parasympathetic. If we don't do that and we watch news all day, we will go on social media, we have things around us that don't make us feel safe, we're never going to get into that parasympathetic rest and digest stage. For me, I get set off very easily by smells. Smells are something that set me off. I can smell, in my luteal phase of the cycle, I can smell. I can't really eat meat. If I smell it, its meat smells a bit rancid to me. Okay, and that's my luteal phase. Your immune system's low in your luteal phase, so you're more likely to get sick from meat and fish. So it's just my nervous system protecting me by saying, nah, don't have the meat. It just smells wrong to me. Strong paint or chemical odor, I can pick that up from miles away. I can't do it. It makes me angry. And tune into your body how you feel. It's quite interesting. Like that spray on deodorant, the men's really strong spray on deodorant, you know, the Lynx or those ones. It just gets me. Messy bathroom or a moldy bathroom. If there's mold, sometimes if we have mold grow in the shower, it kind of like my nervous system goes up because I get agitated, right? You can feel it. Ooh, you suddenly get a little bit agitated. The relaxation's not there anymore. You could have been relaxed 1 minute. Now you're agitated. Noises like drills, but the one thing that sets me off more, have I got it here? Windows banging in the wind. I wake up to that. I can't stand that. You know, even if it's a little bit, the rattling window wakes me up. Musky smells overpowering. And yeah, the smell of aging meat during my luteal phase. That's a big one. I wonder if you've noticed that, right? Some people can't eat meat in their luteal phase at all, and they eat meat fine other times in their cycle. The immune system comes down, so you're more likely to get sick from that. Ooh, spoiled nuts and seeds. Sometimes I can open food up. I did this the other day with a dinosaur bar, you know, the banana dinosaur bar. I've got to take it back, and I open it up and I just smell it, and I'm like, I can't eat that. There's something wrong. I can't eat it. It's such a sensitive smell, and I can feel it, my nervous system going. So sympathetic's there for a reason. We go into fight flight, okay? The easiest way to describe this, and I'm sure you've all heard this before, and I've probably said it about 10 million times, is a zebra on the savannah, minding its own business, maybe having a little bit of water from the water hole. Then a lion comes, and the lion chases a zebra. The zebra goes straight into fight or flight. Run. Doesn't think about anything else. Run. Just has to run fast. Basically, what has happened, glucose has come out of storage. Adrenaline spikes straight away. The adrenaline brings the glucose out of storage, puts the glucose into the muscles, cuts off the blood supply to the peripheries and the organs, the ovaries, the sex organs, the bowel, the stomach, all the organs in there, right? So imagine if you're in fight and flight all the time, the little blood and oxygen supply your organs are getting, right? Because that's what happens. Cold hands and feet all the time. The zebra's going. Anyway, it outruns this time. Outruns the lion. Lion's back there. And it just it shakes, maybe does some shaking. Shaking, right? And then it's like, whatever. Goes back to drinking water or eating grass, right? It's not thinking about, is the lion back? Is what's going on? So this is what happens, and that's what's meant to happen, and that's the perfect sympathetic response, okay? And it comes back into parasympathetic rest and digest. Another example of that I saw the other day was, I talked about this again in the reset, was my cat was outside and a little toddler was playing with it, and she went behind a wall, and my cat sometimes can be a bit nippy. Nipped the girl, she started screaming. She didn't cry tears, but her jaw went, and it was just shaking. That's the most beautiful response to stress, because what this is doing, that shaking, is it's helping the trauma work through your body, work through her body by the shaking it like the trauma's coming through, her body's working with it. She knows she's in safety, but the trauma's coming out. Once the trauma comes out, and once that sympathetic stress response comes out, and it comes out, she won't be afraid of cats. If we had somehow suppressed her response, if I had picked her up and said, don't cry, it's okay, stop it, you're okay, don't cry, you're okay, she may not have worked through that response, okay? But the fact that she's worked through it so beautifully, so textbook, means that she most likely won't have a fear. She will have a healthy distance now. She'll know that, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that with cats, but she won't be fearful, and she won't have any anxiety from that event. This is the working through. This is why shaking is so good. Shaking helps the vagus nerve. It gets us from fight flight back into parasympathetic. It helps the trauma work through. So many of us have had even just small things happen, and the trauma hasn't worked through our body. And this is where the problem happens, okay? This is where the stored trauma can happen. When you go into fight flight, okay, there's a lot of things that will happen. This will happen, I'll go through these, but also if you experience these on a daily basis, that's a red flag that you might be in sympathetic a lot of the time, okay? That you might be there in sympathetic, kind of dry mouth all the time. Heart rate going, could be pulse rate here, you could hear the pulse here, it could be the heart rate down here, anywhere you feel little sensations pounding here. Any tightening, any constriction, you know. When you're in sympathetic, it's good to tune into your body and see what your body is actually doing. When I did the exercise in the 5-day reset, where you do 10 star jumps, then another 10 star jump, sit down, and you feel into your body. Feel into where it's tense. Feel into where pain comes up. You'll notice things you never really knew before about your sympathetic response and what it does to the body. You need to tune in. You need to be really mindful of where is it tight? Where are you feeling pain? And that will tell you when your body is in sympathetic, even when you don't think it is, okay, on a daily basis. It's a really good way to get in tune to whether you're in sympathetic or parasympathetic. Increase glucose supply, right? Because adrenaline is always getting glucose from store. The glycogen in storage gets it, brings it into the blood supply. So you'll always have this higher glucose levels at certain times. This is what wakes people up at 3 a.m., right? If they're going through high stress or they don't eat enough for dinner, blood glucose drops about 3 a.m., spikes adrenaline. Adrenaline goes and gets glucagon from storage. Glucose elevates, your body wakes up, and you're like, oh, I'm wide awake now. Well, I could start my day, but I want to go back to sleep because it's only 3 o'clock. A fast, maybe not fast, right? It could be fast, but it could be sort of, but definitely a shallow, steady to fast breath, right? Oh, it will be fast. Sorry, sympathetic. Sorry, ignore me. It will be fast. So fast and shallow. You know, you'll notice that. Okay, fast and shallow, you might hear it, okay? Hands and feet cold, sweaty palms, you might need to pee, more sensitive to sounds, you can hear more sounds. Your vision might be peripheral, okay? Now, your nervous system is trying to make you in tune, right? So you can see danger or hear danger, so it makes you more aware of everything around you. Hyper alert, okay? And like I said before, negativity bias, which is a big one, okay? You might see this come up in every part of your life. Parasympathetic nervous system. This is where you want to spend the majority of your time. Relaxed, restoring, mindfully in parasympathetic. And then when you exercise, or when something happens, or when you need to get a project in, or when you need your sympathetic nervous system to kick you into gear, it comes in. But unfortunately, it kind of doesn't. We basically spend our life in sympathetic and then try and backtread and get into that parasympathetic for an hour when we do a massage, or we do our meditation, or we do a yoga. It should be flipped. It should be flipped. So this is where all the healing occurs, okay? Only in our parasympathetic nervous system state, our rest and digest state, only in that state can we digest food, absorb minerals like iron and zinc, have proper bowel motions, digest so we don't get bloated. The gallbladder will work properly. The other thing will work properly. My brain's gone blank now. Pancreas, thank you very much. They work properly. The immune system, right? When we're in rest and digest, the immune system will go and target cancer cells, kill them. Okay, so it's a really important state, and we seem to think that really the parasympathetic nervous system, we only need to be there to feel relaxed. It's only good for one thing. It's good for everything. Okay, it's good for everything. We need to be there more. We need to work during our day to live in that state, and then just kick into sympathetic when we need it, not the other way around. We need to be living in parasympathetic state, and we need to learn to slow down, learn the mindfulness, so we can be there in that state, so our bodies can heal, we can do what we need to do. It's every bit of our life changes when we're in parasympathetic nervous system. We're in our brainwaves and more into alpha, into theta. We're not in that high beta, which means we can be our more authentic selves. We feel more connected to people and the world and the earth. We feel more conscious. We feel happier and joy. I mean, there's a ton of benefits other than just your health. The connection to people around you, feeling like yourself, getting things that you really want to do done. You can't when you're in sympathetic. In sympathetic, you're on that hamster wheel. So when we're in parasympathetic, this is a good one to know, because when you're in sympathetic and you've got that tightness and you've got that constriction and you've got that pain and you've got the cold hands, and you've got that discomfort and you can't sleep and your mind's going to do, The opposite is for parasympathetic. But when you understand what your body does in parasympathetic, you can start to bring that in to your daily life more and recognize when you're in parasympathetic. You will see when I do one of the exercises, hopefully I move into parasympathetic. I'm kind of presenting this, so I'm on the edge. I'm not fully into parasympathetic, thinking about what I've got to say next. I'm trying to get, all of this, particularly this time in the evening, the brain's not 100% switched on, so I need to be a little bit more switched on. But a spontaneous deep breath, right? That's a big sign. My daughter did the most beautiful thing today when we were at her occupational therapist. The occupational therapist had her down on her tummy and she was rolling a ball on her, a big ball. She was rolling it. And I heard my daughter, she was lying down and she went, a sigh, a spontaneous deep breath. Signs you're in parasympathetic. More saliva in the mouth. Maybe gurgling signs in the stomach because your digestion's working. Maybe feeling hungry, you want food, not craving, want hunger. You're hungry in the stomach, not craving in the mind. You might have a bowel motion because you're relaxed. You might suddenly get extremely fatigued. When you do these exercises, you might go from a heightened state to an extreme fatigue state. I had one lady from the 5-day reset get extremely fatigued and break down crying because it was just the emotions come out. The emotions come out. A feeling of gratitude. You can only feel grateful when you're in parasympathetic relaxation. And some people sneeze after they orgasm as well. So sneezing, sigh, spontaneous deep breath. And for me, it's a yawn. So yawning. We don't yawn when we're bored. We yawn when we're relaxed. When we're relaxed, we yawn. When we're tired and relaxed, we yawn. Some massage therapists yawn when they're massaging because they've relaxed. And when your nervous system's in tune, we pick up on other people's nervous system. So if you're being massaged by someone who's feeling a bit tense and on edge, you're never going to be able to come down. But when you massage and your nervous systems are in tune, because our nervous systems get in tune with everybody around us, okay, we pick up on the cortisol, we pick up on the relaxation. And so our nervous systems kind of go into sync. Our heartbeat goes into sync. When massage therapist is relaxing you and they go, they are in parasympathetic. And then that causes you to be more relaxed. It's beautiful. Beautiful, I tell you. The vagus nerve. We're not going to talk about this too much, but I just want to touch on it because the vagus nerve is the parasympathetic nervous system. It's really important. It's connected to the tongue. Did you know people with tongue ties are more likely to have constipation? Interesting, right? I'm looking at more research as well. Tongue, how you hold the tongue in your mouth. If you've got any issues in the mouth, how that might impact your nervous system, your anxiety, bowel motions, that kind of thing. So when we're doing some of the exercises, sometimes you want to relax the tongue. Sometimes you want to put the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Experiment what feels right for you. Does it feel good? Have the tongue on the roof of your mouth when you hum, do these exercises, meditate? Do you prefer to have the tongue relaxed? Sometimes when I sleep, I have to kind of hold the tongue with my teeth, though it doesn't move. It's funny. Anyway, so the vagus nerve is 75% of the parasympathetic nervous system. And the vagus nerve goes past the stomach, the kidneys, the bladder, the reproductive organs. So think of the impact having any issues with the nervous system, any issues with the vagus nerve, not getting into parasympathetic nervous system, any issues in the mouth, what that would have on ovaries, bladder, kidneys, and the stomach. Okay, this is why it's all so connected. It seems so high level, right? But when we get down into it, into the science, we suddenly go, now I get why stress can impact us. Now I get why stress can cause infertility. Now I get why stress could impact my endometriosis. It just, okay, the connection is there. Now the freeze response. The freeze response is important. We need the freeze response. The freeze response is about pretending, playing dead, feigning death, so that you either are cut off from the danger, you don't feel the danger, you don't remember the danger, you're disassociated, you're disconnected. When I used to watch, when I lived in the countryside in the UK, we had loads of cats. Back then you did have loads of cats and you didn't do anything about it. They just gave birth every year and you just had more and more cats and more kittens. This was a while ago, 30 years ago. And I remember I used to always save the mice from them. And it's quite interesting to see that you do think the mice are dead. So the cats will be playing with them, throwing them in the air, doing all this. And the mice will be like, playing dead. And then the cat will go away, I'll take the mice. And then suddenly the mice will go startle and run off. So fascinating to see that. This happens to us humans when we go into severe trauma and stress, right? So the intense stimuli comes in. We conserve energy because that's playing dead. We conserve energy, we play dead. So our breath will go shallow. Okay, short and shallow. Endorphins rise, so they dull any pain we might go through. Okay. And then that will help to block out anything that's going on. And then it will help our emotions to disconnect. So we're playing dead, we don't move, we go through it. So that can happen obviously in awful instances. Some people are going through the freeze response every day simply because some trauma, whether it's a super severe trauma, a life-changing trauma, or even a small trauma, being bullied, that's not small, but in reflection to an assault or to, it's like you have the big traumas, but then you have things that could go on every day, whether it's bullying, whether it's just being teased, those kind of things. If they're going on every day, the body slowly goes in to that trauma response of freeze, okay? Not being want to sing, playing dead, just wanting to disassociate, cut off. And so some people are living in this freeze response every single day because their nervous system hasn't moved through. Okay, so they're kind of going there in freeze. They might go into sympathetic, but it's very difficult to get into parasympathetic. So they're just sort of moving between. Some people are just in freeze. Okay, these people are very disassociated. They can't feel anything. It's really hard for them to do anything. And they're not moving between the phases, feeling foggy, not being able to make decisions. I've made my resolution. One of my resolutions is to just make decisions. And never to say, I'm never going to say, I'm going to stop saying this and I'm going to make decisions. I decided I'm going to do that. Decided to stop saying things like, I don't mind, you decide, So out at dinner, what should we get? I'm going to say exactly, I do mind. I'm going to say exactly what I want. Well, if I want to walk to here, and if the other person doesn't, that's fine. But I'm not going to say I don't mind anymore. I think we should have a preference, right? So I'm not going to say I don't mind. Procrastination is a big one. People see procrastination all the time, and whether it's procrastination in business, in life, doing the things you want to do, cleaning your home, all of those things, that's where it shows up. I have a lot of clients talk about disembodiment, okay? Not really feeling in their body. This is where mindfulness comes in. We've got to get back into feeling in our body, and then we can express ourselves, okay? Until we feel in our body, we can't express our true self, our true nature, or connect. Brain fog, same as feeling foggy, doubled up there. Unable to feel intense emotions. Intense happiness, intense sadness. This is my dad, and I don't know if he's English, but he didn't even like to watch. He loved cricket, but he couldn't listen to it. He hated listening to things live, would always look at the scores afterwards because it just didn't want to get that intense emotion, right? Could never watch football or anything like that. So you're not getting excited, right? And also unable to be vulnerable. That's a big one. It's a really, really big one. So all of these are ways that you might be living in freeze, okay? Not everybody, some less than others, but it can be impacting your day-to-day. A dysregulated nervous system. Okay, so a dysregulated nervous system is basically about the nervous system now either being in fight flight all the time or being in freeze, having stored trauma, and your nervous system now can't effectively respond. So you might have instances of panic attacks, flushing up suddenly, not being able to verbalize, these things. The nervous system now is being triggered. It's like it's like the hardware has gone wrong and the electrical circuit's going cracking. Okay, and you're like, suddenly the sympathetic nervous system's activated out of nowhere. And you're like, I was just sitting down having dinner and suddenly heart palpitations started. I got flushed. Yeah, so the nervous system's been activated by something and it's dysregulated, because it should only be activated when you're in danger, right? When there's a danger or you're in that kind of rush, we're living through our society, we're rushing something, that's when it be activated. So this is what we call a dysregulated nervous system, where it kind of needs to be brought back online. It's offline, it's not working, you need to bring it back on. So it does what it needs to do at the right time. I bet there's a lot of people that have dysregulated nervous systems. Oh, bless you. That's my cat. She's sneezing. Hormones. One of the biggest reasons I started, well, two of the biggest reasons, let's say, two of the biggest reasons that I started really deep diving into the nervous system and trauma and what we needed to do was, one, for me, because I noticed that since having my daughter, I don't have time to go to yoga anymore. I don't have time to go for regular massages or do that hour-long meditation. I don't have that available. When you get stressed, you just take the day off and you do something. You can't do that, right? When you've got a kid. So I was kind of struggling. Like, what can I do? I need to balance. I need to get balance. I need to do something, because I'm just living kind of like this, rushing. So back in the end of 2001, I started really deep diving into somatic healing, looking at how we can regulate our nervous system through small incremental ways in our life. And that was what was really important to me. The second reason was seeing client after client after client after client with hormonal issues. And even though I specialize in hormonal issues, there's just so many women. PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder. This is depression. This is self-harm. This is suicidal thoughts. More women commit suicide in the luteal phase and any other phase in their cycle. More women suffer from this underlying trauma, and it impacts their hormones, endometriosis, ovarian cancers. All of these have been shown to have nervous system dysregulator kind of connections, right? And studies show that women who have trauma, particularly at certain times in their life, up until 7 years old, 1 to 7 is a big time for women. And that's a huge risk factor in developing these hormonal issues like endometriosis, adenomyosis, PMDD, all of these things. So for me, it was a no-brainer to try and find ways to regulate. We'd always done as naturopaths and nutritionists, we always give the herbs, give the magnesium, but it's not enough. And then you can prescribe, well, you need to start meditating or you need to do yoga, but not everybody can do that all the time. And I think we need the tools and we need to understand, right? What do we just need to change in our day-to-day? How can we start to change there? Instead of doing a massage to solve our dysregulation through the day, let's manage that dysregulation. Let's heal that and work out what we can do. I think that's a much better way. Stored trauma. Stored trauma is a huge one. I was just getting clients thrown at me left, right, and center. Clients that had been through war, clients that had been through abuse, family abuse, clients that had been through so much separation, so much death. I mean, it was just all being thrown at me the last couple of years, quite intense. And that's when I really thought I've got to look at something. But the stored trauma was what I looked at, and that was the somatic therapy that I studied. And these past traumas, they can come back to bite us, particularly women, in terms of fertility, in terms of ovarian issues, ovarian cysts, adenomyosis, endometriosis. So it's really huge, particularly for women. Okay, this stored trauma. Stored trauma is where the nervous system hasn't removed it, hasn't brought it out because we haven't worked through it. Or we might have even forgot it. We might have pushed it down because we were in freeze response. So we haven't come through it. In the luteal phase, so we've got our cycle, we have menstruation. Menstruation is day 1, and that leads up to mid-cycle, and that's when estrogen and testosterone rise. We have mid-cycle, right, which is where we ovulate. Estrogen peaks, and we ovulate, then progesterone comes up, and this is called the luteal phase. This is the phase where women get their PMS, right? They get their swollen belly, they got their painful boobs, they might get a little bit agitated. But this is the phase that we also see the PMDD, PME, severe PMS, and then we see these real nervous system dysregulated signs coming in the luteal phase, okay? So heightened sensitivity to noise, touch, being sensitive to touch, having a very low pain threshold, things like endometriosis, PMDD, severe PMS flaring up really acutely in those phases. And then emotions such as, anger, jealousy, quick to rage, and defensiveness. Remember, when anyone's in the sympathetic, wherever they are, they've lost connection. They're not feeling connected. So they're feeling disconnected from self, disconnected from the world around them. And intense negative emotions to others, okay? And I know a lot of women who I work with that have PMDD, they suffer from this. So these are mental negative emotions that they feel a lot of shame for and a lot of guilt for. And that only perpetuates these negative feelings. So let's just talk about a few simple signs of hormonal balance, okay? Just a few ones that you may or may not experience, but I wanted to talk about a couple. I wanted to talk about heart palpitations. I see a lot of clients with heart palpitations. And one of the things I have to say to them is when you have, as a woman, when you have heart palpitations, it's unlikely it's actually heart related. It's more likely it's nervous system, it's all hormonal, it's hydration. Obviously, if there's pain, shoulder pain, any pain with the palpitations, and always get it checked out. But it's unlikely that it's actually a heart issue. So you go for an ECG, and normally that's clear. Heart palpitations, I find, typically happen the end of the follicular phase. As estrogen and testosterone are rising, what you're also getting is you're getting the higher levels of adrenaline. So if you've already got a dysregulated nervous system and you move in and out of fight and flight and parasympathetic, and you're more in your fight flight, and you move into it very easily, you're more likely to get the heart palpitations in this phase in your cycle. Women can get heart palpitations through the day. Also, it can stop them from sleeping because they hear the pulse in their head, which is very annoying for them. Low progesterone, okay? So I've seen a lot of women who have struggled to conceive, can't conceive, haven't conceived, all of the above, and there's a lot of pain associated to this. And one of the big things that can be contributing to not ovulating is stress. Now, two things with stress. One thing with stress can be chronic stress. Stress that's happening all the time. It's draining our progesterone. Our progesterone goes lower, lower, lower. The lower our progesterone, we don't ovulate. When we don't ovulate, we don't produce a progesterone. We've now got this vicious cycle. Or it can be just a single stress in that follicular phase before ovulation, something in the diet, a major stressor that can happen just once, and it can impact that ovulation. So it might not impact the rest, but if you work through it, it's okay. It just impacts that one, okay? But it's the chronic the chronic stress that causes this drain of progesterone. So when you're trying to replete progesterone and when you're trying to work on conception, or you want high progesterone to feel calm, to feel clear, to help heal your brain, you need to work on getting that up, ovulation, plus you need to work on the stress and the trauma in the nervous system as well. It's all together. Work on it all together. And the final one, before I get into the yummy, yummy, yummy stuff, heavy, painful periods. Okay? I mean, heavy, painful periods most likely caused by elevated estrogen, elevated cortisol, elevated adrenaline. When we're stressed, remember, we have higher blood glucose. Higher blood glucose causes high insulin, and high insulin can also cause heavy, painful periods and cause things going on with your ovaries. Also low iodine, by the way, that's another point, but low iodine is a big one when it comes to heavy, painful periods. So taking some iodine, iodized salt is really important for women who suffer chronically from heavy, painful periods, ovarian cysts. But yeah, when the nervous system is chronically in high alert, it causes inflammation, it causes high insulin, it causes high glucose, it causes an imbalance in hormones. The liver's not effectively detoxing. The gallbladder finds it difficult to work when it's in high stress states, okay, because it needs to work when the body's all nice and relaxed. So then that leads to excess estrogen, leads to painful periods, ovarian cysts, fibroids, adenomyosis, endometriosis, PCOS, and heavy, painful periods. So this is one big sign as well. And the last one, were they the 3 signs? Yep, I did those. Heart palpitations, low progesterone, and heavy, painful periods. There we go. I'm just going to check. Oh, sorry. Okay. Someone literally just mentioned, I only just looked at the message. Sorry, I only just saw that. Let's do this. There we go. Sorry. Hopefully that's a bit better. I didn't see the comment come up until now. I've just changed screens. I hope you didn't miss too much. Let me know if there's anything you missed. There we go. Although you do need to see me now. Okay. So I'll have to bring my face back. Okay, so we're going to just talk about 4 techniques. I'm going to talk about the most known technique, but it's also the most powerful. And if you do it, it works. This is mindfulness, right? So mindfulness. Mindfulness is one of the most powerful ways to bring our nervous system back online. The reason being, remember earlier I talked about safety. Remember I talked about the nervous system wanting to get signs. Mindfulness does that by slowing down and being mindful, being open, living without judgment, right? This is giving subtle cues to your nervous system that you are safe. Think about all the judgment you hold through the day, all the rushing you hold through the day, all the closedness you hold through the day instead of the openness. Everything, every one of those emotions sending us a sign to our nervous system that we are in danger. And when that nervous system gets that sign, that's when it goes into fight, flight, right? So it's really important and it's really powerful to use mindfulness. Mindfulness brings it back online. Let's just talk about the 5 elements, and then I just want to talk about how you can be mindful without too much trouble. But mindfulness is about how the body feels, how the mind is and the moods. It's about viewing the world through a new lens, a fresh perspective, right? Breathing and using breath. And the biggest one is avoiding judgment. So not judging. Not judging it's good, not judging it's bad. So you bring all this into the day. So it essentially means that you are just being or you are just doing. So this means you can be mindful with simple things in the day. And if you were to think about your day to day, how you got from A to B, if you were in the car, I'm pretty sure you couldn't remember. You just did it. You were in autopilot. But if you were mindful, that grounds you, and the grounding helps to reset your nervous system. That brings you into alignment and it brings your nervous system back online. So you could do things like making a cup of tea, just being mindful. And you could just write today, your goal is, okay, I'm going to be mindful when I'm brushing my teeth, and I'm going to be mindful when I'm making a cup of tea. I want to run you through this so you can feel it, okay? Just run you through this slightly, then we'll do the somatic exercises. I'm going to bring my face up. Now, let's go. There we go. You'll be able to see it all now, right? Hopefully that's better. Oh, great. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to run you through because I want you to feel it. I want you to really feel it. And I want to tell you about a few other things as well while I'm doing it, because this helps. So our nervous system, safety is key. And there are a few things we can do to feel safe. So this is the mindful morning routine. This is really easy to forget, right? This is really easy to forget. But if you put a Post-it note, say, on your phone in the morning or something you can remember. Our nervous system needs to feel safe. We need to feel safe. And to feel safe, one thing we can feel safe is we can ground ourselves, okay? So grounding down through your feet, grounding down through your hands, feeling your bum, feeling your back, whatever it is you can feel. So if you're lying in bed in the morning, you will feel into your body. You feel into your body. Mindfulness is about feeling into your body, knowing the body, taking in the sensations, each part of the body. But you can also do things to make yourself feel safer, right? One of the best things you can do is pressure. And so if you've woken up and you're feeling a bit off or you're feeling a bit anxious, this goes with if you're sleeping or if you're sitting here now. I'm going to do a couple of things that are going to get me relaxed. One thing is a pillow over your stomach, right? This is one of the best things you can do, okay? So this is an example of our nervous system being old hardware, because the reason things over your stomach help you is because your nervous system perceives your stomach as being a very weak chain, a weak link, right? Because if a tiger comes along and scratches you, claws you in the stomach, it's going to get into your organs, your stomach, and you probably are going to die, right? So the stomach is seen as a very sensitive area. So one of the best ways to support your nervous system is to protect your stomach. So bringing a pillow in when you sleep, or putting this pillow to my stomach now, and it's just so lovely. Okay, I sleep on my front. One of the reasons I sleep on my front is because it helps me to feel relaxed. And a lot of people that may have gone through trauma find that sleeping on their stomach is easier. I can't sleep on my back, cannot relax on my back. And it goes back to my childhood of being afraid. I was always a scared sleeper. I was always sleeping under my duvet and I was afraid of ghosts. And so I was so afraid I couldn't sleep and I'd be under my duvet, right? And so I'd always have to be under there. And so now when I sleep, I have to be on my front, but now I also put a pillow into my stomach. So that's a beautiful way to feel safe. Another way is touch. Let me just bring this down a little bit. Figuring out what works for you. Touch is one of the best ways to trigger the nervous system into relaxation and into safety. And hugging ourselves and doing this is a really nice thing to do. So you kind of do that. It's a bit of somatic healing. So you can do those things, especially if you feel on edge. And then when you're doing the scanning, you might be in bed. When you're sitting, make sure that you kind of Make sure your body feels held. You want to feel held. You want to feel safe, okay? So when you wake up in the morning, you can take as long as you want, or you can do it quickly. I'm just going to do a quick brief scan. But the ideal of mindfulness and waking up in the morning is this helps to buffer you for the day. It gives your nervous system a set point. It gets you into parasympathetic, particularly if you haven't slept, if you've had nightmares, you had dreams, you were kept up, you had alcohol the night before, whatever it might be, it will bring you down. So, put the pillow into your stomach, lie there. And all it is just noticing the breath. And the mindful morning is just a minute or 10, whatever you can do. A minute's long enough. It's taking your mind's eye to just a certain place in the body and then scanning, going through the body. No judgment, being open. It's not good, it's not bad, just feeling. So you do the big toe, the little toes, the baby toe, the sole of the foot, up your calf, to your knee, your thigh. Can you feel it? Feel your mind's eye going to those places. This is mindfulness. And when you're being mindful, your body can only be in parasympathetic. Bring your mind to your buttock, your left buttock, across your pelvis, into your ovaries. How are they feeling today? How's your uterus feeling? Your stomach feeling? Down your right thigh to your right knee, down to your right foot, your right big toe, all your little toes, and then your baby toe. You can bring the mind's eye up your right leg, into your stomach, your belly button, your ribs, your chest, your heart. You can have your mind's eye just swirling around those organs. How are they today? How's your body feeling? Bring it up to your neck, your right shoulder, mind's eye just down the right arm, all the way down to the hand, the fingers, the thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, the mind's eye, all the way back up to the neck. Down the left arm, the elbow, the thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, and then up to your mouth, your nose, your eyes, your head, your ears, over the top of your head, where a lot of tension is held in the head and the scalp. Just taking a few breaths, and then when you finish this, just sit there and relax. But one thing to do, this is another somatic exercise, is holding the eye. So with your eyes closed, rubbing your palms, you kind of hold your palms, pressure into the eyes, just holding your eyes. It's a really beautiful nervous system relaxation. If you did that along, just take a second to recalibrate, rebalance. Beautiful. Okay, you should feel that. You should be able to feel that. I can definitely feel it. I feel a relaxation, just a relaxation. The next one. Okay, beautiful. I hope you like that. I hope you found that. This is what you would do every morning. And then before I get onto the somatic eating, so the mindful morning, and then mindful eating is a big one. So I would bring in to your routine just mindfully eating one thing or one meal a day, okay? That's sitting down, smelling the food, looking at the food, eating slowly, tasting the food, getting the flavors. If you do those two mindful things a day, that's enough to bring your body into a beautiful reset, okay? But you've got to be doing these every day. It's about bringing these mindful things every day. Then you can start building. Mindfully brushing your teeth, mindfully making a cup of tea, mindfully eating 3 meals, mindfully working through your day. Just slow, mindful movements, okay? So when we eat fast, when we move fast, that triggers the nervous system. And that brings us into sympathetic. So slow and steady is key for the nervous system. If you are ever in anxiety, so high anxiety, then the grounding technique is good to do. I will share the PDF with you. It's a beautiful technique, and the grounding technique is just 5 things that you can see. So without judgment, you just look, glass, a phone, camera, hand, keyboard, and then 4 things you can hear. You tune in a car, the wind, the window rattle. 3 things you can touch. Okay. Table, a tissue, my glass. 2 things you can smell. My moisturizer. I don't use, smells earthy. Nothing else. And then 1 thing you can taste, either that's in your mouth or a water. So that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique that helps to bring you out of anxiety. If you're in an anxiety, high panic attack, it's a beautiful thing to do. The somatic healing is even more powerful. The somatic healing we use when we're in high stress state or we're in freeze. It will bring you out of freeze. It's one of these exercises that I had someone do and it brought them into tears. So it can be sometimes too powerful, and sometimes you do need to work through it, and you need to know that you've got someone to talk to, because somatic healing moves stuff through the body very powerfully. Oh, I hope I don't wake my, I forgot I was doing it at 8 and my daughter's asleep and I've got to make a noise. It helps to bring trauma out. It helps to move it through the body. It helps to bring the nervous system back online, okay? It's a powerful, powerful technique. There's lots of different exercises. I've already been through a few, right? Holding your eyes, self-love hug, so giving yourself pressure. Some people need that pressure, right? Holding the pillow into your stomach, grounding yourself, telling your nervous system you're safe by looking around. There's no one at the door. There's I'm safe. There's nothing here, because it's not logical. It needs to know. It needs to see that you're safe, right? And if you see something that triggers you, just make sure you take a mental note to change that, okay? The VU breath. The VU breath, we've talked about the freeze state. We've talked about the nervous system and the vagus nerve, okay? So the VU breath brings that online. The VU breath is good to do, particularly if you're in sympathetic. The VU breath is good to do before eating. It's good to do once a day. It's good to do before doing a public talk. It's good to do if you're feeling anxious about something. The VU breath is wonderful. I do the VU breath and it just brings me back straight away. So again, you ground yourself. The VU, and you can do it with me, the VU is boo. So it's not it is VU, V-O-O, boo. When you're doing it, you want to feel vibration. Feel the vibration through your throat, through your vagus nerve into your stomach. You can also use your jaw. So if you get TMJ, if you get headaches, if you've got a very tense jaw, you can use your jaw. I'm going to use my jaw. You can do it without the jaw. And when I say use your jaw, I'm going to move it very weirdly. So you do this 1 breath and you just continue until the breath's gone. Okay, so you ground yourself. You can do it with your eyes closed, eyes open. I'll close my eyes. I'm going to do the VU and I'm going to move my jaw. If you don't want to move your jaw, you can just do the VU. Just do what you want with your head. Do what feels right, okay? Movement is good. Movement is key when it comes to somatic healing and moving the energy through, okay? So we go. Boo. Just take a few breaths. you might find you can take a deeper breath, right? So when you're in freeze state, it's hard to take really deep breaths. It's because your nervous system's protecting you. If you're in freeze state, your nervous system wants you to play dead. So if you take a deep breath, you might actually feel more anxious. So sometimes you need to do release and then take your deep breath, okay? I can feel a relaxation. I can feel it coming on. It's a beautiful one. This one's to do daily. The push away looks a little bit funny. The push away is a brilliant one to get you out of freeze state. Now, I caveat this with, this is quite an intense one for some people, and I have had clients cry, and I had a lady during the reset cry. If you do cry, try and work through it. Try and bring the tears out, work through it. If there's any shaking, let the shaking come. Shaking is good for your nervous system. It brings it out. That's what we want. The push away can trigger. When you do the push away, ground yourself. When you're doing the push away is using all of your muscles and your strength in your upper body, particularly ground your feet, all the strength. You're imagining you're pushing huge boulder up a steep hill, and then eventually it gets to the top and you push it over and you can relax, and then you just take a couple of breaths. Okay, so ground yourself. I'm going to close my eyes. Don't worry about what you're doing with your face. Don't worry about what you're doing with your stomach. You're just imagining you're pushing a huge boulder up a hill, okay, like this. Visualize it pushing all your body. Oh, the muscles are tense. I can feel it. Oh. That's kind of a big one. Oh, see, that's the nervous system. You just, when you do that, you just start pondering. You're just in a relaxed state. It's such an interesting exercise and so powerful. This is a really great one to do if you know you're in freeze, if you know you've got stored trauma, along with doing any therapy that you're doing with a therapist. Doing this can just work so well together. Bringing that out. Oh, I feel really good after that. Beautiful. How do you feel if you did it? Humming, the humming and buzzing. This is by far my favorite. This is the best thing. I love this. I love it. Really here, all you're doing is tongue the roof of the mouth. You're buzzing. So you're creating a buzzing, and this is the most beautiful thing for the vibration. This is why singing is great. Vibration, any vibration to the vagus nerves, right? So the humming, 30 to 60 seconds a day. I'm gonna try for 60. You just keep taking breaths and humming. Join in, follow along. This is what you do. You relax, you ground, look for safety. If you need your pillow into the stomach, safety, everything's okay. Ground yourself. You're going to put hands over your ears, tongue the roof of the mouth, and it's going to be like this. Okay, up to a minute, okay? I'm going to close my eyes as well. I'm gonna sleep well tonight. How was that for everybody? That is my absolute number one exercise. I absolutely love that. When you bring this all together, you just start experiencing the mindfulness. So the mindfulness will end up being, it starts off a little bit of a habit. You have to get into the habit. Then it just turns into the experience. It turns into how you are through the day. And when that happens, that's when you'll feel tremendous change in your nervous system reset. Then when you're wanting to really do some deep work on the nervous system, doing the VU and the push away, beautiful somatic therapies for that freeze response, sympathetic, and just the humming. This exercise number 3, the humming, just on a daily basis once, if you want to, before going to bed. If you're in a stress state, if you're feeling in a high sympathetic nervous system state, you can feel yourself tensing, any tense, any pain. Know how your nervous system starts off feeling, okay? There's going to be those small cues. This is when you would use the humming. So what are the small cues? Is it heat? Is it pain? Is it tension? Is it a headache? Is it more mood? Is it that you don't want to be around people? Is it you start having negative thoughts? Feel into what it feels like when it starts, because you don't want to get it to that escalation point. And that's when you would use this humming. Just brings that all, it's bringing it down. That's all you want. You just want that nervous system, the parasympathetic, those hormones to be released. And that's enough to bring it down. Now, do you know what's happened? That's extremely funny. It's 9:15 at night and I'm now starving, right? Starving. I suddenly got this hunger in my stomach. Bugger, I can't, it's bedtime, but I've suddenly got hungry, right? That's me in parasympathetic. I've been running around all day. Now I've done those exercises. I'm in parasympathetic, nice and relaxed, but now my body wants food. Darn it. I was going to say something else there that I felt was very important, but maybe not. I can't remember what it was, so maybe it wasn't that important. I'd love to know how you went. I hope you enjoyed today. Just for my reset people, I'm just letting them know, and anyone else, that if you're just about the Calm Circle. So just really quickly, because it's late, I don't want to keep you. The Calm Circle is my group coaching. We focus on neurotransmitters, balancing neurotransmitters. We focus on balancing hormones, and then we focus on the nervous system reset. So it's going to have more of this somatic healing in, more in terms of how to support your nervous system. Sorry, I'm rushing through this in case you're interested. You get access to a vault of information. You get lots of masterclasses, journals, ebooks. There's so much in this to support your journey. But plus with this, you do also get group coaching, and you get the Calm Cycle Hub membership, which is my smaller membership. So it's $47 a month. You get the histamine blueprint, lymphatic mastery mini course, and you also get the Calm Cycle Hub as a bonus as part of this. There we go. I just wanted to say that so everyone knew that I had launched it, because I'm very excited. That's my group coaching membership. So you get all of these, and it's the Calm Circle coaching membership. Okay, so we do group coaching twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, and we work through the neurotransmitters, the happy hormones. We work through hormone balancing, your sex hormones, and then we also work through the stress hormones as well. So it's just taking on all of those different elements to support you. And then we, like I said, we have the weekly group coaching, so I can support you kind of real time. There we go. There we go. Thanks, Jess. Thank you. So did you miss that, Verena? Did you miss the VU breath? The VU? I think you've asked what the VU breath is. That was the VU, right? That's the doing the VU, breathing in and then making a sound. So I will, hi Jess, I can see you. Thank you. You know all about this stuff. Good reminder though, right? Good reminder. Thanks, guys. The group coaching, well, do you mean the time? So the group coaching is opening up this week, and the time slots, Australian time is Monday mornings, 10 a.m. and Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. So it's 2 times. And so if you want to come, it means that one of those times will be suitable. So you probably wouldn't want to come twice a week, just once a week. And if you've got any other questions, you can let me know. Jess, do you feel good after that? Yeah, good. Thanks so much for joining. Thanks, guys. I've recorded this, so I will send it out. Verena, if you've got any other questions about the group coaching, feel free to drop me a line, send me an email. It closes. We close doors on next week, Monday 15th, just so we can sort of have a closed door and we can just have a small group. Beautiful. Sleep well, guys. I'm going to have something to eat. It's crazy. I can't believe it. It's my bedtime and I'm going to have food. Take care. Lots of love. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.